Hey friends, welcome back to this week's Self-Love Masterclass. My name is Mullings-Lewis and I am a self-love coach. For those of you that are new to my channel, I want to welcome you. And for those of you that have been following me for quite some time, it feels so good to reconnect with you. It's been about a month since I did my last video. Now, if you're new to this channel, Self-Love Masterclass is about us talking about all things related to self-love and spirituality, right? It's about us developing a healthy relationship with ourselves so that we can manifest, the things that we want in our lives, and so that we can be the brightest versions of ourself possible. It's about feeling comfortable with being yourself and developing relationships that are really healthy and nourishing. In today's class, what I'd like for us to look at is the concept of pacing ourselves. A lot of times when I'm working with my clients and they are just starting out on a self-love journey, they're in a place where they're feeling maybe really anxious or really depressed and oftentimes feeling burned out. And that's not to say that's how everyone feels, right? There are many different people who come to me for different reasons. But I think one of the things that we can all relate to is feeling overwhelmed or feeling burned out or feeling like our well is just really, really dry. And these are the kinds of things that we experience for a number of reasons. Also, a big reason though is not really knowing how to pace ourselves. So let's just look at, what does it mean to pace ourselves? You can find all different kinds of definitions for what this means, but what I'm going to say for this particular video and this particular topic is pacing ourselves means feeling in alignment with a pace that allows us to be what we would consider the most emotionally well version of ourselves. So it's moving at a pace and progressing at a pace that feels good for us and is also helping us to manifest the things that we want in our lives. A lot of us feel pressure to work at a particular pace. And of course, the world around us will have all different kinds of expectations and demands of us. So you might have different expectations at your work, different expectations from your partner, your spouse, and other people in your life. And I think where a lot of us struggle is we feel like we have to keep up with that pace. And we feel like if we can't keep up with that pace, that there's something wrong with us. The funny thing is that most of us are working at a pace that is overwhelming and stressful for us. But again, not a lot of us feel like comfortable or like we can say, hold on a second, this is too much for me, or this is overwhelming for me, or something about this isn't right or healthy for me. We just sort of feel like we have to do what everyone else is doing. And so it creates this environment, whether it's a work environment or even sometimes in our home environment, and in our groups, like in our tribes with our friends. It creates this environment where everyone is just hustling, everyone's tired and burned out, but no one's really saying anything about it. And this has a huge impact on ourselves as individuals, but also on all of our relationships and of course the quality of our life. So when we start working on self-love, what we're looking at is not only being able to check in with ourselves and see if the pace feels right for us or is healthiest for us, but then the next step of it is also getting to this place where we feel like we can say, where we can actually articulate to the people on the other end of our relationship, like this isn't right for me, or I need to tweak this, I need some help, or even it may get to a point where we have to say, I need to step away from this because this doesn't work for me at all. Part of the reason why this is so scary for us is because we're really concerned about what other people will think of us. So if it's a professional environment, we're afraid of how it may shift our credibility in the eyes of others or our capability in the eyes of others. If it is a personal relationship, let's say it's with somebody that we really admire or want to win the affection of, we may be worried that they will think of us as less than or not value us as much, and so that relationship may be threatened or ruined. And even when we're looking at ourselves, because so many of us struggle to develop self-esteem by comparing ourselves to other people, we might start to doubt ourselves or feel like we're not good enough. And so it's almost like we're pushing ourselves to prove to ourselves that we are better or worthy or good enough or something like that. The important thing for all of us to keep in mind is that when we push ourselves beyond our limits, and when we do so for a prolonged period of time such that it becomes an unhealthy lifestyle, there are going to be dire consequences mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. On an inner level, it's going to create this thing within ourselves where we feel like we can't trust ourselves, or we feel like we can't listen to ourselves because we're bypassing all of our intuition and all of our signals that are basically telling us that something's off. Our body is also going to be put into a stress of state, and that's when we're going to see lots of things start to break down in terms of our health and our well-being. And as I think I touched on a little bit, we're also going to see these strains in our personal and professional relationships. That's when things like resentment and anger start to build, and then we start to see even more depletion of energy. So really, in reality, if we think about it from a self-love perspective, speaking up and pacing ourselves is actually the most productive thing for us to do, and also the thing that is going to serve us the most emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. We all have different lives, and so we are all going to have different ways of working and different paces that we need to move on in different areas of our lives. And it's okay to need to go a little bit slower sometimes. It's okay to need to pull back a little bit sometimes. It's okay to need to take a break sometimes. And also, when we feel well, it's okay to push ourselves sometimes. But at all times, it's about us checking in with ourselves and looking at what works best for us, and not looking at the world outside or around us to tell us what is right or best for us. The awesome thing is, my friends, that as you continue to work on self-love, as you continue along your self-love journey, you will become better and better at knowing how to pace yourself. Because as you develop a closer relationship with yourself, you become more deeply connected to your mind, your body, and your spirit. And so the information that you need to assess what works best for you will be much more clear. My friends, there is so much more that I can really dive into when it comes to knowing how to pace ourselves, but of course these are just YouTube videos, and this information is really out here just to give you a little bit of a nugget, something to chew on and something to reflect on in your own life, and see how, you know, the lesson applies to you, where you can tweak things to empower yourself and to support yourself on your own self-love journey. If you are wanting additional information, or if you want to work with me one-on-one, all of my information is below, and we can dig deeper into the topic. And of course, if you have questions, you can also leave them in the comments below. I always forget just how much I miss doing these YouTube videos when I haven't done one in a while, and it has been so good just to come out here and to reconnect with you and to meet some of you all for the first time. I hope that this video has been helpful for you, and if it has been, don't forget to like and subscribe, and to share it with the people in your life that you feel it will value. Alright, my friends, so this is it for this video. Until we see each other next time, don't you forget that we are in this together. Mwah.